Walking must never be considered running. It is precisely this negative prejudice that is silently killing the passion of many beginners in Vietnam. Surely you have come across sarcastic comments on various groups, such as, if you're going to keep walking while running, you'd better stay home and sleep. Or, if you're this weak, don't bother putting on shoes and going out. Those highly damaging judgments unintentionally create immense psychological pressure, making us mistakenly believe that we must run continuously to the point of being breathless, having a rapid heartbeat, or even being in pain to be recognized as working out.
But let's look back at the truth. The result of that extreme mindset is often persistent injuries and giving up after just a few training sessions. So what is the truth behind it all? Today, we analyze a scientific solution to smash those prejudices: Jeff Galloway's run-walk method. This is not laziness, but an active recovery strategy that helps your body adapt to endurance running in the most sustainable way.
Let's find out why alternating short walking breaks is the golden key for you to conquer your first 5 kilometers without being overwhelmed or discouraged. Welcome to the Lab's Perspective, where we will dissect what actually happens inside the body when you apply Jeff Galloway's run-walk interval formula. Surely you are also wondering, why not just run all at once and be done with it, instead of interrupting it like that? Is that a sign of weakness or a step backward in training?
The answer is absolutely not. Let's look back at the cardiovascular system's operating mechanism as a piece of precision machinery. When you run continuously without a fitness foundation, your heart rate will spike very quickly, exceeding the aerobic threshold, causing the body to fall into a state of severe oxygen debt and accumulating lactic acid, causing rapid muscle fatigue. Alternating walking intervals is an immediate active recovery solution. It helps the heart stabilize its beat again, returning oxygen to the muscle fibers in a timely and effective manner.
On running forums, netizens often have quite heated debates regarding this issue. A typical comment often seen is, if you have to keep stopping to walk while running, you might as well just walk the whole way. How can you make progress? But scientific truth proves the exact opposite. From the perspective of an injury expert, this method is the ultimate shield protecting your body.
For super beginners, the knee joint system, ankles, and ligaments are not yet strong enough to withstand continuous pressure up to 3 to 4 times the total body weight with each running step. Short, alternating walking periods act as rest intervals to reduce mechanical load, preventing sudden overload of connective tissues that are still very tender. Imagine it like giving an engine running hot a break to cool down with the wind before continuing a longer journey.
The most miraculous thing is that the body's adaptation does not occur when you are trying to torture yourself, but it occurs most powerfully precisely during these short breaks. Instead of giving up early due to exhaustion after 10 minutes of continuous running, the run-walk method helps you complete a full 30 to 40 minutes of training feeling refreshed. It is precisely this longer total movement time that will help your endurance threshold increase every day in a sustainable way.
Therefore, do not let prejudices about having to run continuously become a barrier. This is not a compromise with laziness, but an extremely profound scientific strategy to transform you from someone who has never run before into a brave 5 km warrior and completely free from facing persistent injury pains. Continuing from the foundation, let's look deeper into our own biological machine to understand why intervals create miracles.
Surely you are also wondering, why does walking help us run faster and endure longer in the long run? The secret lies in the fat-burning optimization mechanism. When a beginner tries to run continuously, their heart rate often spikes to the ceiling threshold, pushing the body into an anaerobic state where it only prioritizes burning sugar for survival instead of consuming excess fat. But with the run-walk method, we keep the heart rate stable in the aerobic zone longer. This is exactly the sweet spot for the body to learn how to use fat as fuel most effectively.
Let's look back at VO2 max metrics and recovery heart rate. When you walk in intervals, you allow the cardiovascular system short breaks to flush lactic acid, preventing early exhaustion. Netizens often argue heatedly on forums that walking while running is lazy, or a typical comment once wrote, "Running means running the whole time. What do you call walking training? However, performance analysts prove the opposite.
Building an endurance foundation from smart breaks helps you maintain a longer total movement time, thereby scientifically raising the body's tolerance threshold without causing injury. You are not lazy at all. You are training smarter to go further. Why is starting a running journey always such an arduous psychological battle?
We often come across status updates on social media like, "Running is boring. I was only excited for the first 3 days. Then everything went back to how it was." The truth is that the human brain always prioritizes stability and is very afraid of sudden changes that cause exhaustion. Let's find out how this run-walk method cleverly tricks our instinct for inertia.
Instead of forcing ourselves to face the pressure of the huge 5-kilometer number, we break the goal down into short movement intervals that the brain feels are safe and controllable. This is precisely the art of minimalism in behavior. Surely you are also wondering, why don't we discuss designer shoes or expensive GPS watches? From the perspective of minimalists, equipment pressure is sometimes the biggest barrier.
Try removing all expectations about specs and focus entirely on feeling your breath and each footstep hitting the ground. One netizen shared very honestly that, "When I stopped looking at the electronic screen and just listened to my body, I truly felt freedom." That is how you build lasting discipline throughout 8 weeks without feeling like you are being forced.
There is a question that I often see many beginners ask, even sarcasm from a segment of the online community, that if you're running but still walking, you might as well just go for a stroll. Running like that, when will you ever get fast? But friends, this is precisely the skeptic's paradox that most of us fall into when just starting out. Let's look back at the costly lessons from longtime runners themselves, those who once rushed the process and tried to run continuously right from day one, only to receive persistent joint pain in return.
From the perspective of scientific analysis, walking intermittently is not weakness or laziness, but our way of recharging energy for muscles right during movement. It helps keep the heart rate from being pushed too high, thereby building an extremely solid endurance foundation without causing overload pressure on ligaments. A typical comment from a veteran runner once shared, "If only I had known about Jeff Galloway's run-walk method sooner, I wouldn't have had to stop training for a whole year due to injury."
Let us understand that accepting starting from zero with smart breaks is precisely the launch pad for your legs to accelerate stronger and more endurably in the future, instead of letting your body break down right from the first few weeks. Stepping into the first phase of the 8-week journey, we will thoroughly analyze phase 1, lasting from week 1 to week 4, where patience is more important than speed. Surely you are also wondering why we don't run continuously right from the beginning.
Look at it from the perspective of a biological laboratory. Your body needs time to restructure muscle fibers and increase capillary density. In the first 2 weeks, apply the golden ratio of 1 minute of running and 2 minutes of walking. A netizen once left a highly skeptical comment that walking in the middle of running looks a lot like giving up. But in reality, Jeff Galloway's method proves the opposite.
This breaking down helps your heart rate always stay within the control zone, preventing lactic acid buildup too early, which causes muscle fatigue. Moving on to week 3 and week 4, we will gently adjust up to a ratio of 1 or 2 minutes of running, combined with just 1 minute of walking. This is when the body begins to form muscle memory. Walking segments are not weakness, but strategic breaks for your legs to recover right while moving, helping to minimize the risk of shin splint injuries commonly found in beginners.
Let's look back at the core goal. It's not to run the fastest, but to maintain regular movement, so the brain no longer feels pressure every time you put on shoes to head out. After we have made it through the first 4 weeks together for the body to get used to the rhythm of movement, now is the time to enter the crucial phase, Phase 2. Conquering the 5 km mark. Surely you are also wondering, why in week 5 don't we just run straight through and be done with it? Look at the scientific perspective that Jeff Galloway painstakingly researched.
In week 5 and week 6, we will apply the formula of running 4 minutes and walking 1 minute, repeating continuously. Many opinions on running groups often argue that Walking like that, when will you progress? But reality proves otherwise. A very interesting comment from a beginner wrote, I tried running continuously and gave up after 2 weeks due to knee pain, but when I switched to run-walk at a 4:1 ratio, I felt like a much more endurance machine.
Walking for 1 minute is not laziness, but a strategic break for the musculoskeletal system to regenerate and reduce pressure on the joints. Stepping into week 7, this is when we start to step on the gas. The ratio will switch to running 6 minutes and walking just 1 minute. At this time, you will clearly feel cardiovascular system adaptation.
Your heart no longer beats erratically like in the early days, but begins to operate more efficiently, pumping oxygen-rich blood smoothly to muscle groups. Let's look back at your progress. From a place of only being able to run a few minutes, now you can maintain a state of movement throughout 30 to 40 minutes without feeling exhausted. And then, week 8 appears like a personal, historical landmark. This is when you perform the final test to touch the 5 km goal. The suggested formula is running 8 minutes and walking 1 minute.
With this approach, the total time you move will be enough to cover the 5 km distance safely and with pride. Don't forget to track specs on your watch. Each added minute of running is proof that your limit has been pushed further. We are not just running. We are reprogramming strength for our own bodies. Continuing the arduous 8-week journey, let's look back at how we have truly transformed ourselves.
From someone who was naturally averse to movement, you are now standing at the finish line of your first 5 km with a completely different mindset. Surely you are also wondering why Jeff Galloway's run-walk method can turn the impossible into possible so gently. The secret lies in the fact that we do not force the body into a state of overload right from the start.
Instead of running frantically only to become exhausted, combining smart walking has given muscle groups and the cardiovascular system time to recover right during movement, facilitating the most scientific adaptation. Many of you often leave comments on forums that I used to think walking while running was cheating or for weak people, but reality is completely the opposite. Another netizen also shared that thanks to this method, they crossed the 5 km finish line still strong enough to smile for a photo instead of collapsing on the road.
That is the power of listening to your body. This feeling of conquest does not carry hints of self-torture, but is a true enjoyment. Start today to feel the miraculous change in each stride and become a proud finisher of your own.